It is my absolute pleasure. It is always a joy to connect with Katherine McBean. She is one of the leading warriors of our time, a real leader who is helping to change our world for the better. And I just love her to bits because she's unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. She's she's one of the founders, the main founder of the People's Health Alliance, the PHA, which launched last April. So we're 11 months in, and Katherine is going to give us an update on where that's at, and also more recently the People's Food and Farming Alliance, PFFA, and I'm dying to hear the update on that too, because these two new organizations are absolutely 100% in line with the astrology where we're going. We're moving from top-down systems of inequality and corporations and governments having the power to the power being absolutely with the people. Grassroots are ordinary people coming together in community and creating a very different, more loving society. And so that is energy we need to welcome in. And this is going to be a long period. We're looking at least a 21-year transit that really begins big time this month in March. So Catherine's organizations are absolutely 100% on track with where we are headed with the astrological zeitgeist. So can't wait to start and chat to you about these, Katherine. Where would you like to start?
Well, something that I've noticed recently, I had a wobble a couple of weeks back, which is quite unusual for me because I don't tend to get too wobbly. I take quite a stoic approach, and it served me well. However, yeah, I had a few days where I was really negative, really down, anger, frustration, stress, all running through me. And luckily, I was able to grab some perspective and kind of get myself back on track after a couple of days. But then I noticed so many people around me and on social media and people out in the community were going through these kind of states of stress and anxiety and frustration and anger. And I was wondering if you could shine a little light on that. I know from your videos that you've probably got far better ideas of what's happening than me, but I was hoping you could kind of give us an idea as to why so many right now are feeling kind of really heavy negative energies.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Well, firstly, I'll start with the cosmology, the astronomy, because in recent times, and I've talked about this in videos, there's been quite a significant drop in the Earth's magnetic field and the sun's magnetic field. So through most of our lifetimes, we've been protected by those magnetic shields, kind of like cotton wool buffers for the Earth, if you like. But now we are much more open to the sun and to cosmic and galactic energy. So it is pouring in. There's some very good people on social media. There's somebody called Pat Donworth, who's very expert on Facebook, who talks about this particularly. But we are if we look back to 2018, I believe, had no M-class flares at all. With coronal mass ejections, they operate at 3 levels: C-class, M-class, and X-class, and they're like a Richter scale, like earthquakes. So M-class is 10 times the strength of C-class, X-class is twice the strength of M-class. So they go up, on a graph like that. So often in a day now, we can get several M-class flares. Last week, we had 2 X-class flares. I mean, this is absolutely extraordinary amounts of cosmic and galactic energy. And what they are doing is bringing in new information for us from the sun, from far galaxies, to upgrade ourselves with this new information. So that's one block of different energy that we're going through. The other block is round about every 12,000 years, give or take 500, the Earth moves into a different area of the cosmos called the photon belt. It's actually an electron belt which produces very high concentrations of photonic light, which is very high frequency light. And some people can see it as kind of very white, sparkly diamond light. And that is coming in surges. We're going to be moving through this photon belt for about 2,000 years. Okay, we just have really been entering it very recently. So this is fabulous to bring in high frequency light, because every cell in our body is full of light. We are made of biophotons, and that's how our intracellular network communicates in our body. You know, some people can see little halos or auras around people of light, like the Ready Brek. Do you remember the Ready Brek ad?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I can see it very easily with people. So we are light beings, and we are increasingly becoming more light. The higher our consciousness, the more we can embody this very high level of high frequency light. So that block of information is coming in at dizzying speed as well. So we have never, in I believe any lifetime we've ever had to evolve so quickly with this amount of very different high frequency energy coming into our little tiny individual energy beings. And it's knocking us about a bit. Yeah. It really is, because what happens in terms of physics, this is something called downward causation, where high frequency energy comes in, photonic light, cosmic and galactic energy in the form of coronal mass ejections. And what it means is that the lower frequency energy cannot continue to exist. It starts to disintegrate. You know, this is linked to chaos theory. So the lower frequency vibration, or anything that has been birthed from that lower frequency vibration, starts to crumble, starts to fall apart, not work very well. It also, the photonic light in particular, is shining a very bright light in dark corners where we haven't been able to see before, of all kinds of grubby insects and, you know, cockroaches and all kinds of nasty stuff. It's bringing it to light. It has to, in order for that, you know, this is an evolutionary end of times and beginning of times. And so if we just look at it purely scientifically, the old order has to collapse because of the cosmology and because of the laws of physics. If I also add in the astrology to that as well, and what we're seeing there, you know, it's kind of a done deal. But don't resist because it feels chaotic. Go with the new. Go with the new, because it's, you know, what I desperately try and encourage people in my videos is create the future, you know, look forwards. We've got so much beautiful stuff coming. No, and, you know, people are kind of saying, no, I want to stay with the old stuff that's crumbling. You know, first war of wing walking. I don't want to let go to what I'm hanging on to till I'm hanging on to something else, but it's collapsing and crumbling. You know, no, I want to hang on to the collapsing scenery. Well, that's kind of crazy, because it acts as a ball and chain for the new earth that so many of us are trying to create. You know, step into your power, guys. But what this does, and you and I are not excluded from this knockabout in energy, Catherine, because all of this new energy is creating a lot of turbulence in the energetic field. There's a churn, there's a turbulence. So people are complaining of aches and pains, tinnitus, dizziness, extreme fatigue. They want to sleep all day. Or, you know, insomnia. I mean, I used to win prizes for sleeping. I was in the Dormouse finals. Now I'm lucky if I get 2 hours a night.
Yeah.
I am shattered with that level of sleep. And I feel like I'm plugged into the mains. And many people are feeling this. And I know it's very related to the solar flares, because if they're particularly high, you know, M class, X class, I just know it's a, you know, it's an all-nighter.
Yeah.
So, you know that although we're being kicked about a bit energetically, take it as evidence of our upgrade. Take it as evidence of our ascension. And the more you can get into looking forward to new earth, creating new earth, trying to feel in your bliss as often as you can. You know, when I wake up every morning, I say, I live in love and peace and bliss. I live in love and peace and bliss. And as often as I can in my absolutely kind of whitewater rafting days, I try to keep coming back to that, because that is going to feed the energy. What we do when we are imagining, dreaming in new earth and loving communities that you are absolutely superstar creating, is that we are adding bricks and mortar to new earth. We are literally creating it energetically. We are shifting the energy in the quantum field. If you look at how quantum physics works, it looks invisible. So people think, oh, well, that's a waste of time. You know, what are you doing? What are you doing on the ground helping? Well, you're doing tons, particularly if a lot of us are coming together and just feeling in love together, just creating new earth together, just feeling peace together, just building community together. When we come together in mass meditations, particularly, we magnify the group energy. So focus on what you're creating. You know, I so often say, and it sounds like a trivial, flippant remark, and people kind of dismiss it, but I say, so often we focus on what we don't want and then blame it for giving us a hard time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
people
absolutely.
think it's, but actually it's absolutely fundamental to where we're at. So stop it. You know,
Yeah,
stop it.
yeah.
Stop looking back at the collapsing scenery. Focus 100% on, I'm going to get out of this hamster wheel that we've been in for thousands of years of war, poverty, misery, disease, and death. We've got to up our game as spiritual beings, get beyond that to create something way more beautiful. And it's right here. It's right here in the energy. So stop messing about with the collapsing scenery.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's inevitable. It's going to collapse. It's collapsing. That is inevitable.
Absolutely.
And piling our energy into creating the new. Someone wisely said to me once, what you pour your energy into is and based on love, doing it in a loving way, is what you're going to create for the future. So, you know, you can pour your energy into the negative and you're creating a more negative reaction as a result.
Because the way the universe works is everything you experience in life is a frequency match. You cannot experience anything that you are not a frequency match of, because the universe is just a mirror. So in general, if you are staying in a peaceful, loving state, those are the experiences you're going to attract. Now, yeah, there's a whole bigger macrocosm going on as well. So we are aware of the kind of, you know, awfulness, absolute awfulness that's happening in the world right now. But if you try and stay in these more loving places in order to create something better, to a large extent, you are bubble wrapping yourself from the worst excesses. So an analogy I've sometimes used is, you know, we've all had the experience of taking off from an airport when on a windy day and we're very buffeted by those winds, and at lower altitude, we think, you know, I'm going to fall out of the sky. But if once the plane goes to higher altitudes and breaks the cloud level, we get a smoother ride over the same geography. So
that's a great analogy.
You know, it's quite a helpful analogy that you will do better than the average bear in all of this turbulence, even though you're aware of the awfulness of the world, and you can help it energetically, you can help it financially if you're able, or practically on the ground in, you know, in lots of ways if it's close to. But a huge thing we can all do at home for free is work energetically. And so that will help you to stay in a good energetic state. And yes, we're still going to experience these high frequency energies that are going to buffet us, but take it as fabulous news, even though we feel wrecked and shattered, and I do. On a 70-hour work week, getting 2 hours sleep a night, I can't tell you. Take it, welcome it in. We are welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love. We are welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love. Let that be your mantra.
Yeah.
So does that help a bit?
Yes, it does. And I think it'll help other people hearing that and knowing, and if you're one of those people that's been going through that recently, you're not alone. It is not just you. It's not just, you know, affecting you. It's going to be affecting all of us in different ways. And actually, it's far easier to level with yourself while you might be going through something if there's a reason for it, if you can, you know, understand why that is happening. And like you said, it is also positive, even though it might not feel like it when you're in the thick of it. This is an example of what is happening and how we are ascending, how we're moving forward, how we're changing. And what was interesting the other day, I was speaking to our mutual friend Paul, and he was explaining it to me in a way that that our bodies and our minds are sometimes struggling with how fast this is all happening, the speed at which this is happening, and that's having its impact in itself is just the speed. And I'm getting the vibe that you've never seen anything like this before either.
No, in all of our lifetimes, I don't believe it's happened to this, you know, to this scale and this speed. I mean, the days seem about 2 hours long. It's all happening so fast. And
yes, what is happening with time? That is another point, actually. That's really interesting you brought that up. I'm like, it's March, and I know as you get older, time does seem to go a bit quicker, is what I've experienced. But at the moment, it's just flying. It's just flying.
It's a signal that we are moving away from 3D linear time.
Okay.
Because linear time only exists in this dense 3D reality. The more we move above 3D, sort of 4D, 5D, time becomes much more fluid. And that's what we're feeling. And the other thing I'd add into this picture is the Earth itself is going through her own upgrade. If you look at the Schumann resonance, and you can easily find this on, it's like the heartbeat of the Earth, you can easily find this online. Traditionally, historically, it's been at a very steady 7.83 hertz. Now it's going in huge peaks. The strength and the amplitude of the peaks is kind of unprecedented, because the Earth is also open to the cosmic and galactic energies. It can't escape it. So we as little energy beings are sandwiched in between all this cosmic galactic energy and the Earth going through her own upgrade. So that's why, it's hard to find a steady place in many ways. Bare feet on the ground as often as you can. Bare feet on the grass, bare feet on the ground, sucks, negative energy out of you. It's the best antioxidant you can have. It helps to really stabilize you, ground you. The Earth will always be truth. The Earth will always be truth. So come back to the simple, be in nature, have Epsom salt baths, meditate, go inside, breath work, for heaven's sake, turn the news off. Go less into the external, much more into the internal as well.
Yeah.
You'll find, because if you look externally, there are a million things to say, oh, it's another really big scary thing. A million things. But if you go inwards, there's only one thing to focus on. Really, your heart, your breath. Well, I guess that's two sides of the same coin. Your heart, your breath, and that determines your frequency. Turn in, keep it simple, feet on the ground, in nature. Turn off the externals, and just keep it as simple as you can. And I'm going to have a few days out soon, because I'm feeling, just overwhelmed with the volume of work on so little sleep. It's just unsustainable. So recognize that Katherine and I are being kicked about a bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I've been at this not as long as you, but I've been at this decades myself, and I'd never experienced anything where I thought I was going to hit a wall. Nothing like that. And it was lovely for me. I took a lot of solace in the fact that, and it sounds awful, but I wasn't the only one going through it.
No,
everyone
millions
else seemed to be going through it.
Millions, because we can't escape this energy.
How much longer till the energy? I don't know if you can tell, but how much longer till the energy shifts a bit, whatever way it goes? Do we have any idea when shifts will start to happen? As
we shift, the whole thing becomes much more comfortable, because once we ascend into higher frequencies, the turbulence affects us much less. Go back to the plane analogy. So we're going to be in the photon belt for about another 2,000 years. So that's going to see you and I out, Katherine. I don't think anybody really knows how long the sun's and Earth's magnetic shield are going to stay down, whether they're going to continue to decrease or come back and increase. I don't think anybody, certainly Rory Duff doesn't really know the answer to that, I don't believe. So, but the solution therefore is go up in frequency. And you do that by turning inwards, following your breath, feet on the grass. You don't have to go on a course, you don't have to buy a book, you don't have to do anything clever. Every single being on Earth can do this. And that's what we need to do.
And astrologically, I think we knew March would feel bumpy, and there'd be lots of things going on. Any idea kind of what direction things are happening, sort of April, May? Are we going to see things settle down? Are we got to just stick our heels in and just keep pushing forward, because it might feel bumpy for longer? Any idea what's coming?
Yeah, it's a great question. Around about the equinox, 20th of March this year, but give or take a week either side of that, the energies coming in are going to be very high and very, very beneficial for us. So they're going to be quantum leaps for people. Everybody to some degree, and this is available to every single person on Earth, but people are starting to feel much more psychic sensitivity, much more healing ability. People are writing to me all day about this. So we are going to become more light beings, and there's this big surge coming in at the equinox, which is very positive. Other big surges are going to continue through the total solar eclipse on the 20th of April and the lunar eclipse on the 5th of May. It's going to keep on coming. But what that means at the 3D level is it will become more chaotic because the old will break down faster. So you're going to see more mess. You're also going to see the old structures desperately trying to hang on to power. So their extremes may become greater, particularly this year, less so next year, but particularly this year, because Pluto is moving into Aquarius on the 23rd of March. It only stays there to the 11th of June, backs into Capricorn again, which is where Pluto sits is where the power tends to lie. Backs into Capricorn on the 11th of June, all the way through to January next year. But then next year, we've got about 9 months of Pluto in Aquarius, the sign of the people, the sign of freedom. And December 2024, it moves into Aquarius fully for 20 years. So there will be an increasing shift away from the power being with top-down structures and towards the people. It won't happen in a day, a week, a month. And this year, we'll only get a glimpse of it from 23rd of March to the 11th of June. But it will give us a flavor, give us a glimpse. And we're going to come on to all your wonderful updates in a moment, because you are, you are on the ground creating this stuff. But don't worry if it appears that when Pluto backtracks into the last couple of degrees of Capricorn, the efforts of the old order to hold their power become more extreme, because they will. Because it's,
I said the analogy I used is that they're going to become like cornered animals. They know their time's up, but this is when they're the most dangerous. So don't be surprised if they kick out and react, because that's what cornered animals will do.
Absolutely, but we don't have to live at 3D. We can be aware of it, but it doesn't have to land at our doorstep if we've been able to raise our frequency. Somehow, in some way, it doesn't hit you quite as personally and directly. There's a sense of separation, but turn off the news so you're not quantum entangling to the chaos. As soon as you start to listen to all the bad news, you are quantum entangling to what you absolutely don't want. And it doesn't mean to say that you're not aware, because you can pick up stuff on a lot of alternative channels. So you can be detached, objective, and aware, and help these situations energetically, financially, however you can, but do not engage with negative emotion in them, because that's when you quantum entangle with a timeline that you absolutely don't want.
This is definitely something I'm working on, because traditionally I've watched all the news, I've kept my eye on everything, I've had my finger on the pulse about everything, and it was always, and don't get me wrong, there is still an element of me that is quite rebellious, I suppose, and like to have my voice heard in response to these people who are not playing very nicely. However, and because this is a new journey for me, I'm quite open and honest about it. I might have been awake and aware for 25 years, but that doesn't mean I've done much on my spiritual journey, and I'm very much on that journey now, and I'm loving it. And it's exciting to realize how much I don't know and I've got yet left to learn. I find that quite exciting. But one thing I'm learning now is, if I do find it, I'm getting frustrated or I'm getting angry or whatever else, I can take myself away. I can take myself away and do myself a massive favor and step back and focus back in on the positive, back in what I can do, not waste time on things I can't control. Let's focus on what I can control. And that is where PHA and PFFA and all of these wonderful other things that are out there come into play, is because we can either give that our energy, or we can funnel it into something positive that's going to help us as well as helping other people. And for me, that's the wise man's game.
So I can't wait to hear, because I haven't talked to you recently, Catherine, so I can't wait to hear about updates with the PHA, the PFFA, because they are so close to my soul, so close to my heart, of perfect examples of what we're creating in New Earth. So over to the updates. Where are we?
It's been really exciting. We have now got physical hubs open across the UK. So there's 10 physical hub. We've got 30 counties not far now. So many are on the edge now of opening their doors. For those, there's plenty of groups out there who are working on getting the doors open. But what they're doing in the meantime is they're running virtual hubs or they're doing drop-ins in their local community 2 or 3 mornings a week where people can come in, and there's a plethora of different practitioners there for varying modalities ready to help, which is absolutely fantastic. And we've got probably about 30 on the verge of opening now in under a year on no money. And this is being done by the people. This isn't us at Core, we're not opening them. This is being done by the people. It is absolutely phenomenal. And not only that, even the groups who aren't yet quite ready to get doors open and so forth, what they've done naturally, organically, is just created support groups across their own communities, starting with each other as they find each other, and going on from there and reaching out to others within their community. And it's been profound. We've got Australia and New Zealand in particular flying along, but there's several other countries that aren't far now from opening doors, or they've got virtual hubs open. I mean, Australia and New Zealand, they've got doors open, they're rocking it. But what has been beautiful as an example of what can be done when the people come together to create something lovely is we got, I don't know if people are aware, there's been floods in New Zealand recently that have been really quite awful. And unfortunately, lives have been lost, and it's not been, the government have done nothing. The government in New Zealand have done nothing. And then I got messages and photos and everything this weekend from our groups in New Zealand. All the PHA groups in New Zealand pulled together tail end of last week and just all got involved, literally on the ground, boots on the ground, brought in other volunteer groups, worked with others out there, and actual proper help, practical common sense help to these people in these areas. And there's something nefarious going on with the government and the land and so forth. But PHA were there. We had the baby Will story back in Australia back a few months, and it was PHA, combination PHA UK and PHA Australia, who got them the notaries they needed. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
amazing.
I was literally on the phone to a couple of our ambassadors who piled in because they understood the legal system.
Wow.
One of them was a pretty famous professor that we all know. She absolutely piled in and did her thing, and it was just incredible. And PHA Canada got involved as well, because we needed a specific type of psychotherapist for the courts there. It was incredible that in a 48-hour period, all these countries, PHA groups across the world, came together to find solutions. And then the New Zealand team just out there. And what was beautiful about this is they said, if it wasn't for PHA, we wouldn't have got to know each other. And we wouldn't have been able to, pull the troops together, as it were, and mobilize and get over there and give the practical support and help. So whilst PHA is about opening health hubs across communities across the world, it's so much more than that. We have people joining PHA as volunteers, and they've said, it's given me purpose, it's given me focus. I was so lost, I was alone, I didn't know how to help, I didn't know what to do. And I think it's important people understand is you don't have to be a health practitioner to help, not at all. There are 101 different things you could do to get involved and help within your community and forming community hubs and so forth. And I do believe these will become the lifeblood over the coming years of keeping communities healthy, happy, safe, moving forward, finding solutions together. And it's just so exciting. And we're working with other groups who want to form community hubs. I mean, we're not precious about it. Let's just get them done. And it is that element of coming together and that solidarity in creating the new that is just so beautiful right now. And it makes me get tearful sometimes, because and I don't do tearful, but it makes me get tearful sometimes just to see the love and the connection, and that people saying it's literally saved my life having PHA, because I was so lost. I didn't know what way to turn. I didn't know what to do. I was so angry and frustrated, and just all of these things that are naturally going to happen as you wake up or become aware that things around you aren't as great as you'd hope they'd be. And there's an answer, there's a solution, there's an option. And so PHA is flying along. What we're doing at the moment is we're aware there are increasing issues out there and people accessing healthcare. So we've just today, we're putting together a campaign, if you like, to launch out there, to reach out to retired practitioners be it holistic or allopathic, who maybe have a morning a week or some time to spare, so that we can, for those groups that haven't yet got a physical hub, we can do drop-ins once or twice a week for people in the community who need to get healthcare support and can't or won't access the NHS. And so we're going to reach out to, there's so many retired practitioners out there who have already contacted us, who love to keep their finger in, who still want to help people. They might not be in a position to work full time, and that's absolutely fine, but they want to volunteer several hours a week to just get a drop-in centre moving. So whilst we're waiting for the physical building to come along, we can still be, you know, giving an option to people for accessing healthcare. So it's just, so much is happening on the PHA front. It's wonderful. And then
and Katherine, just to say, and that's because its time has come. The zeitgeist is right. And, you know, I feel so inspired hearing all of this, because this is a big, big time of people stepping into their power. And I would never suggest that's aggressive or violent. I mean, I've got Sun in Pisces, for heaven's sake. So, you know, I'd never suggest that. But people are stepping into their power with love and purpose. And that's what I adore with this whole movement. It's a global movement now, PHA, of people coming together and really on the ground, helping bring people back to health, rescuing people. I think it is just, I mean, big pat on the back. I mean, you should get some kind of award for this. I think it's fabulous.
To be honest, what overwhelms me is other people I get to work with, you know. And the vast, you know, 99% of the people in PHA are volunteers. These are people dedicating their time and their energy to creating the new and being there for other people, and I get to work with just the most amazing people, and I get to connect with other groups containing amazing people. You know, it's not just PHA. There are tons of groups out there, and through my podcast, All Hands on Deck, we're going to be giving a platform and highlighting all the different groups out there, whether it be alternative media, whether it be politics, whether it be education, food, health, whatever it may be. If you're working, you're authentic grassroots, and you're working to make change and bring better options for your community, then I want to hear from you, and I want to give you a platform, because my goodness me, I'm stumbling across lots and lots of little groups out there who aren't out there blowing their own trumpet, but they're doing incredible, impactful work. And that's why I created All Hands on Deck, is to give a platform and a voice to those organizations. So if you're out there and you're one of them, get in contact, because I want to know where you are. I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what help you need from local people and how they can get in contact, so that we can give options to as many people as possible of all the amazing initiatives out there, so they can find what resonates and they can go and get involved. And it's a place for everyone.
God bless you, Katherine. Honestly, God bless you. I just think you are doing so much as one. You know, I know you've got a small team behind you, but my goodness, you're changing the world so rapidly. So yeah, just absolutely love it. So that sounds incredibly positive about the PHA. And what about the PFFA as well?
So yeah, the farming side is a little bit slower, because a lot of the farmers, like a number of people, for example, within the NHS, they've believed what they've been told, you know, and it's understandable. We are getting there. It's slowly but surely, we are getting there. However, the Grow Your Own and the community growing groups could not be going better. I've got an amazing lady I work alongside called Sammy. She's a little diamond, and she has pulled together teams of volunteers. We have got so many people now inspired to go and grow their own food in their garden. Would never have considered doing it before, but because there's resources available now, and I think people understand it's imperative to have wholesome, healthy food. You know what's on it, you know where it was grown, if it was locally produced, and if you can grow it yourself, fantastic. So lots more people are getting involved with Grow Your Own this coming season, and I think it's mindful just to remember we can grow for 12 months. So we're going to have some support coming through for those that traditionally would think to grow spring, summer, and help them, you know, get that year-round growth going. And the same with the community growing groups. We just did a presentation with the Stone Boys, as I call them, Sue's sons, as an example of what you can do in your community, how you can create a community growing group, how you can create a commercial venture which still benefits the community, We've all got to live, and but what we're doing is very much connecting and collaborating with other groups across the UK, because there's some cracking groups out there, and again, we're giving them a platform, we're sharing the different models that they've created and how that works for them, and getting it out there and encouraging other groups to form their own community growing groups. Whilst we might go through a bit of a gap in terms of availability with food, it's important that we create other options for ourselves and just make sure others in our community aren't missing out, and that we grow for them as well. And it's absolutely brilliant watching all of these groups across the communities across the UK coming together to source land, to find the tools, to grow together, and thus get it out. And we're working with other partners like the Pharmacy Co-op to help with distribution, what that looks like, future planting for community groups and so forth. So much work to do on that front, but it's underway and people are picking it up and running with it. So those two sides are just flying. I couldn't ask for more on that front. And if people have a look on our PFFA website, we've just attached yesterday or the day before a massive list of available funding for community growing groups and farmers that's available out there from a number of different sources, so they can go and tap into it and get some funding in, get the tools in that they need and get started. But it's very exciting. And the fact that we are now tapping into farmers and we're gently getting there bit by bit, we've got to allow for a massive transition for these guys, because like so many others who aren't necessarily aware of some of the bigger picture stuff, they're going to need some help. They're going to need, some support through that transition. And that's what PFFA are here to do. And we're already turning up at shows and starting to get a lot more interest. But it'll be a slightly slower burn than the other side of it, because we've got a lot of people involved in farming who are sort of yet to kind of fully open their mind, let's say, but many of them are on that journey, and it's absolutely fantastic. And already we've got groups setting up for PFFA again in Australia and New Zealand. Those guys were well under the cosh, and I thank their government that much, but their governments put them under such pressure that these guys are so ready to bring change. They're so ready to build the new, and they are storming it, absolutely storming it. But then I've just been invited over to the US in June to go and launch PFFA over there, and I'm going to pull a fast one and pull PHA out the bag over there whilst I'm at it if I'm going. We're getting in international recognition now from countries that want to take these blueprints, which they are so welcome just to go and grab, and starting to open it up in their countries. It's staggering, Pam, just to see how many people are ready to bring change. But what we'd love to do is find those guys out there who are sat on the fence and a little bit unsure and not sure where to get stuck in, and come and connect with us. We will introduce you to groups. We'll find out what works for you and what resonates with you, and we can help you find areas that you can go and get stuck in and help build the new. Because as you were saying, we can either focus all our energy and time on that, what's 3D old crumbling ways, or we can funnel a load of our energy into building the new. And it's timing is critical.
Absolutely. And the projects are going so fast because the time is right. But what the other aspect of the PFFA that I absolutely adore is that you're encouraging farmers to go back to natural methods, natural crop rotation, multi-crops as opposed to monocrop farming, bringing in, birds and bees and insects and all kinds of, turning nature back to nature. That's what
Absolutely.
I love, getting back to the natural rhythms of the earth, the natural cycles, the way earth naturally operates. And that just absolutely is at the heart of my soul, really, to hear that side as well, that you're doing such a service to the earth as well as the people. I think it's outstanding.
I personally, this is my view, I believe there's a space for animals in farming, and I think we can work with animals, what they do, how they naturally function. We can use that to our advantage to heal the soil or help with, weeding out and getting rid of the insects we don't want. We can allow nature the space to be nature and to do what it does best, better than us, better than anything we can produce. No chemical or machine can do it. Yeah. Absolutely. And so we do encourage that through PFFA. It's the long game. We're in this for the long game. Not everything's going to change overnight, but we start now and we keep moving forward, and you will see change happen. It's coming. It's inevitable now, I believe.
Because you only started, what was that, September or something last year? I mean, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? You know, the unstoppable Catherine McBean. I just think it's absolutely, you'll be knighted or something one day. I don't know what, but
Oh God, does that mean I have to meet a royal? I might
no,
be doing it
no,
then.
no. They'll all be different by then. But you know, I just really congratulate you, Catherine, on all that you're doing, because you've got so much on your plate to initiate, but you're creating these incredible networks. And it's another aspect of the grid of light that I see around the earth. You know, some people are working energetically, some people are working practically. You're connecting people, you're a networker, and all of this is adding to the grid of light that we're moving into in these new times of energy. And it's just thrilling. You really absolutely found your role and your passion, and you're not spending a second looking backwards over your shoulder. You're just,
And if I can do it, anyone can do it. You know, I'm not wanting to sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet in any way, shape or form, but it's from a very practical point of view. I'm a single parent, 3 children. We don't have money. We don't have a big house. We don't have anything nice in terms of materialistic stuff, you know, and yet if I can achieve this, there is nothing to stop anyone from achieving their goals and just going for it. And I believe at this moment in history, if you were ever going to look at yourself and say, right, I want to make a change in my life, or I want to do something that counts. I want to leave my mark on history. I want to help create the new. Now is the time. There is no better time, I think, than to start now, getting involved with this. And you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. I've always been a big believer. The only thing stopping us achieving what we want to achieve is this.
absolutely 100%.
Nothing else.
And I often say to people, think of this time, because it's so important in the biggest evolution in all of our lifetimes. You want to look back on yourself in these times with pride. What legacy did you create? What role did you have? How far did you fulfill your purpose and your passion? Because we're right in it right now. And you know, different to you, but like you, life hasn't been easy. There've been many challenges. I have an immense workload. I work alone. You know, it hasn't been a smooth ride. But if I can do it as a small 5'2" English woman with all of these challenges, you can do it. You know, all of us can do it. All of us have a passion, a role, a purpose, and boy, these times, these energies are revealing that to us. So, but you are leading the fray. You know, you're like one of those POWs of those Viking boats that I see. What are they called at the front of the boat? You know, just absolutely leading the way. So
I think it is definitely worth everyone recognizing it, and particularly, I think I've mentioned before, Pam, is I don't know if you are aware of the impact you have on people's lives and how you help people remain steady through turbulent waters, how you provide the light that keeps people going, and you're absolutely admired across the world. I mean, I speak to people in Australia and New Zealand, they're like, when you chat with Pam again, because we love Pam, we absolutely love her over here, you know, genuine love for Pam. Like I said to you, 2 of the guys I work with are like, oh, please tell Pam we love her, please. You know, just absolutely adore what you're doing. And I don't know, I think I just want you to know just how thankful and grateful we are to have you, because you are a shining light for literally thousands of people across the world. And we're just so grateful you're here, that's for sure.
Oh, bless you. I feel like sort of ancient fairy godmother sometimes, but bless you. Thank you. You know, it really touches me, actually, and it really lifts my heart, and it makes all this worthwhile, all this hard work.
It's worth the 2 hours sleep and the blooming knackeredness and falling apart, isn't it? Just to know you're doing a good job though, Pam.
Yeah,
you really
bless
are.
you. Well, you are outstanding, and I so respect what you're doing. I so admire you. You're an absolute pioneer, Catherine, because you're breaking new ground. This has never been done before in this way. And I just, you know, massive pat on the back, because I think you and I plow forward so hard, we forget to look back in terms of how far we've come up the mountain and pat ourselves on the back. And you should absolutely be doing that, and say, well done, Catherine. You've absolutely moved mountains in literally months. It's outstanding.
And I think what we're going to see now, based on what you've said, is this only goes one way. And this is now going to keep building with speed and keep building with speed. And, you know, the more we look forward rather than back, we're just going to see. I mean, you're right to look back and see what our achievements are. Absolutely. And I think we all need to recognize how far we've come in a relatively short space of time. But I think now the building of the new over the next few years is going to move at an incredible rate now.
Absolutely. It really is. And, you know, I say this so often, but I feel I need to reiterate it to people that astrology is not 100% of the picture, because people every day write to me and say, okay, what, you know, what's the astrology say? Well, what do you want it to say? We are the creators. We are the co-participants. We are the co-producers. Tomorrow is invisible. We are creating, and we can decide on any future we want. If we come together en masse and pour energy into that timeline, it will manifest. That's the law of quantum physics. It will manifest. So step into your energetic power in that way. We are co-creators. Tomorrow is invisible. What do you want it to be? Better than it has been.
Yeah, I mean, all these people that tell me, come on, Catherine, because you get a bit excitable, just stay calm, just stay level. So I can't help it, Pam. When I think about what the future is going to look like, what we're creating here, what is happening now, not necessarily even in the future, already what is happening now, I get so exceptionally excited. And the reason I get so excited is because just what you're saying, we get to decide. Yeah. We get to decide and create this in the vision we wish to see it in. And there's no one to stop us as long as we remain lawful and get on with building the new. No one can stop us, and it's happening and it's inevitable, and it's so exciting to be a part of that. And I would invite everyone to get invited and building the new in whatever form suits you, whatever resonates for you, but get involved with it, because it's so fulfilling, it's so exciting, and you're going to meet your brethren, you're going to meet your people, you're going to meet your tribe, and you're going to come together and support each other through anything that might feel slightly rocky, but you're going to have each other, and you're just going to keep building the new. And it's an amazing time to be alive, that's for sure.
And if you can step into that energy with people of like mind, it becomes very exhilarating, very inspiring. Things are happening every day because it's such a strong support network as well.
Yes.
So yes. Absolutely wonderful. So we're getting sort of close to the hour now, Catherine. Anything else you want to say or suggest to people, or recommend, or anything else you want to say?
Just purely, don't ever feel alone. Never has there been a time in all the years that I've been awake and aware that you will be able to find someone to link with. You will find tribes that are in the same mindset as you and want to achieve the same things. And just reach out. Just reach out to them and get involved, because we're creating a new world, and I'm sure everyone wants to play a role in that. So just do it. Just do it. And thank you.
Yeah, fabulous, fabulous. Loved it. Loved our conversation. I always do. I always feel excited when I'm talking to you, because you are literally boots on the ground creating New Earth, and just God bless you. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Absolutely wonderful. So look forward to speaking with you again. Sure, we'll meet in a short time somewhere. And, you know, just thank you a millionfold for all that you're doing.
And you. Thank you.